Well, this is an easy one. Doug Gottlieb, head coach, University of Green Bay, Wisconsin. How on earth do you go out there and make derogatory comments about Michigan Tech, which is a Division II school, only to find out you'd end up losing to them anyways? Really, Doug? Really? I don't get that. Okay, keep your mouth shut and stay in the gym. I always like the guy on the radio, but when you're out there, as far as I'm concerned, okay, focus on what you have to do, because if you end up going out there and making a complete fool out of yourself on the gym, give me a break, man. I don't mind outspoken sportscasters, but you better make sure that it doesn't backfire. In this age of new media, it will bite you badly,
Yes.
really badly. And Doug Gottlieb better realize he's with the University of Green Bay, Wisconsin Horizon, not the Packers. Okay, there's a little bit of a difference between the two brands. So that's who I have for you.
All right. I forgot to mention we're also on the South Florida Tribune network as well, simulcasted. Also, I forgot to mention that, and I apologize for that. But
That's all
Jeremy,
right.
you're
My bum goes to Joshua Dorr and the rest of his goddamn cronies that don't know how to keep things not personal. I've asked him 100 times, if you're on a sports show, talk sports. It's time to shut the hell up and either listen to the show or make comments that are pertinent to the topics on hand. I'm done.
all right. All right. My bum. I have two bums today. My first bum is going to be Deontay Johnson, and in Pittsburgh here we used to call him Deontay Dropson. This guy is turning into another Antonio Brown. He has been, he was traded to Carolina, and then Carolina moved him to Baltimore, and now he was released by Baltimore because he didn't want to play, or he didn't want to do anything, or he's lazy, or whatever. Okay, this guy has turned into another Antonio Brown, and I tell you what, these wide receivers that are divas and prima donnas that think that their doo-doo doesn't stink and they can just do whatever they feel like it, you're wrong. Okay. And I want to give kudos to John Harbaugh. I'm not a John Harbaugh fan. I don't like the Ravens because they're in our division and we play them all the time. But I give kudos to him for kicking them off the team and cutting them that way Deontay Dropson learns a lesson that you don't do these kind of things. My next bum is the federal government. Let me say this. I'm not happy with this budget because I'm going to explain why. We, as taxpayers, Jeremy, Scott, anybody that's a taxpayer has to pay for the new Commander Stadium. It's in the budget. Why should anyone other than the people that live in the D.C. area or live in Maryland or in a surrounding area have to pay for the Commander's new stadium? They didn't pay for Heinz Field here. They didn't pay for Ford Field. Did people that live in Denver pay for Ford Field? No. Okay. Why should the whole United States pick up the tax bill or the bill on the Commander's new stadium? And that's my bums for today here on the External Bum Show.
I do know why. Because
Why?
DC is not a state. DC
No.
is a province. It is not a state. It's just the area where the capital of the United States is. So they do not have the population surrounding that town to cover it. So there's even a couple politicians on the ownership board. So that helps too.
Hey, Ralph, let me tell you something, pal. You want to lean on the Commanders, you can lean on them, but if they want to build this thing publicly, they're going to do it anyway. So back off and relax, man. Every now and then you got to remember they've come from the depths of Dan Snyder. If they put the product on the field, those people in Washington D.C. will fit the bill, or whatever amount that they're committed to. They just want a product which is halfway decent. That's all they're really looking to do. Okay. I'm not saying, let's face it, the majority of the stadiums these days are built with private funds. They really are, and they should be by the owner. But by the same token, there are some sports towns that will go out there and pay part of the piper. That's just all there. Not as many as there used to be, but they will. Nothing you can do about it. I'm just telling you, Ralph. There's perception.
No. I understand that because there was a vote here in Pittsburgh in 1996 that they wanted to put a vote out to have a tax to build Heinz Field and PNC Park. Everybody in Allegheny County and Western Pennsylvania turned down that tax, and they still went out and found the money and went out and got some taxes anyway
Right.
through some funding or whatever by closing state hospitals. That's what they did. They closed the state hospitals down, took that money and put it into the stadiums both in Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia. That's what the state did. Okay, and whatnot.
It's been this way since 1914, ever since they created the personal income tax and everything else.
Right.
Now, when they need money, what they do is they'll close something down and grab it from there if the people say no. That's the problem.
Oh, I know. And the sad part about it is they closed the state hospitals, except for one in the entire state of Pennsylvania. And now we have a mental health crisis, which I'm not going to go into on this program. And now we have a mental health crisis in those state hospitals to put these people in. And that's just, that this is where we are. So, I mean, but like I said, I'm not real pleased about that. I think that's wrong. I don't think that the national taxpayers should pay for the Commander Stadium. Then why don't you give us the money here in Pittsburgh to build a new stadium for the Steelers again, and everybody else pays for it.
And
So
it's funny you say that because that may set a precedent.
Yes,
this will be the first time this happened, and it sets a precedent, which means now owners can go and get federal finances to help build it. Because once it's been done once, it's good for everybody. Because NFL is a shared revenue business.
Right. We'll tell that to the Tampa Bay Rays. Right now, they're hanging over a thread about what's going to happen in that situation.
That's Major League. That's Major League, not NFL.
No, but it's the point that we're talking about, Jeremy.
I know.
Well, that's true. Hold on. Let me finish. Okay. I know where you guys are going. Ralph, this is a pretty good bum here and the way you're talking about. So we could turn this into a little something here.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it anyway.
Hey, listen, I'm a former Tampa resident, okay? So I've always advocated it should be, well, I know you're not. Yeah, you stay up where you're at, but I'm just...
No, I used to be. I used to live in Tampa. I told you this lots of times.
Well, that's all right. My memory's a little off these days, you know why. But nevertheless, okay, here's the deal. I've always been an advocate that ballpark should have been built in Hillsborough County, not Pinellas. Pinellas is an absolute joke. It really is, because you can't get to it anyhow. But right now, they're still bickering about back and forth, and before long, this team's going to be gone. So, every situation's different. They can all lobby back and forth, but at some point, these facilities got to get built. And I would hope now that Pittsburgh's stadium situation's set up for a while. Can't imagine your area building another one in the next 10 to 20 years. I hope not, but who knows? I'll be long gone, as Ernie Harwell would say, by the time this stuff ever goes wild.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you on that, Scott. And I know the Tampa Bay Rays right now have an issue with their place because of the storms that knocked the roof off, and they have to go play somewhere else. And I get that. I'm hearing now that this owner has sort of become, a little bit thrifty, and I get it. I respect the Tampa Bay Rays because of they're a small market team that has been to the World Series. That's why I respect them. And,
well, let me ask you a question. Why wouldn't he be thrifty, Ralph? Hold on. If you're playing in an 11,000 square feet spring training stadium, albeit they do a really, really good job. So I mean that's what it's all about. So yeah, he's going to be thrifty. You're only getting 11,000. Then again, they don't get many anyways. So you might have a full George Steinbrenner field. But the point is I'm hoping it works out well in Tampa, so they'll wise up a little bit and put a stadium there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Josh says the bum is the people who are not following RW Media. Well, thank you, Josh, for that.
Well, it's a little bit more realistic, Joshua, than the one you initially came out with. So, many of us have beards that we have on our face, but I think you need to focus on a classroom project called Save Your Face 101.
There we go. All right, guys. Let's get well, I got a couple bills I got to pay here, so let me go.
You do that. Okay.
I will. Marta Heating and Air Conditioning, our studio sponsor, and we're here at 808 Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Marta, 724-201-0500. Give Marta a call today for snow melt, also UV lighting, and if you need your furnace fixed or any kind of heating and air conditioning needs, give Marta a call, 724-2010-500. Please tell them Ralph Williams sent you. All right. Also, this segment here is brought to you by Alex's Flowers, 412-661-6071. Call Alex today. 30 years in the flower business. This guy knows his flowers. He's a Pitt alum as well. And also, he knows every aspect of the flower business, weddings, funerals, anything for your sweetheart, whatever you need flowers for, give him a call today, 412-661-6071. Alex's Flowers. All right, our next segment here is brought to you by the original Hometown Pizza, Moon Township, 412-264-4444, the original Hometown Pizza. All right. Okay, guys, let's talk about college football. Last night, Notre Dame beat Indiana in this championship series. Today, Penn State's playing SMU. Let's get your thoughts on last night's game. We'll start with you, Jeremy.
Oh, the fate was sealed as soon as they threw the pick six. There was no recovery after that. The mental breakdown of that when you're a quarterback that doesn't do that all season and you do it in your biggest game, it's kind of demoralizing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what else, guys? Curt Cignetti made some bad coaching decisions in that game. I heard the announcers, because I was flipping back and forth between WWE SmackDown and this game. And when I went to the game, the announcers were talking about how Cignetti made some bad decisions in that game. That and then finally, instead of keeping their foot on the gas, they kept on. They slowed things down, and then toward the end, they finally put their foot on the gas with not enough time on the clock. Scott, your thoughts on last night's game?
The moment was too big for Indiana. It just simply was. And what will end up happening is I don't think the College Football Playoff Committee will take them seriously next year. I feel bad because my Miami Hurricanes could have been in there, but they overvalued Indiana is what they did, albeit a one-loss team. This was part of what you have for the College Football Playoff the first year. You're going to have to go out there and work out the kinks with this system. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I've been on Indiana. I've been rooting for them all year. You always like to see them do well because that, you're talking about a great state, and I'm glad that we've seen this that Indiana Notre Dame finally got to play on the field. Now, keep in mind, okay, now Indiana's drought of not winning in South Bend goes back 125 years to 1898, Ralph.
Wow.
1898, 125. Okay. So they actually make the Cubs look good that their drought was only slightly over 100. But this is an opportunity for Indiana to show what they had. And unfortunately, on a big stage, they weren't able to do it against the Irish. I still don't think Notre Dame's going to go far in this tournament. I really don't. But it was a good win for Notre Dame nonetheless.
All right. Yeah, it was a good win for Notre Dame. I was very impressed with the way they played. And as I mentioned, Indiana, Curt Cignetti, but we'll see what I think he's gonna do well down the road. As far as Indiana goes, he's put them on the map a little bit here. Let's see where he goes from there. Today, Penn State versus SMU. Let's get your thoughts on that. Scott, start with you.
Well, I've been riding SMU for a long time, and I still will ride them to a certain extent. Now, the question is, can the ponies be able to run on snow? That's the biggest question that you have up there. Dallas, after all, they are based out of Dallas, Texas. I'm pulling for SMU. I want to see them win. I'm not sold on Penn State. I don't even know why. I'm just not sold on them. So I am. Well, you'll get to yours in a minute. Okay, let me finish. Okay.
I know.
That's called show etiquette. Okay.
I know. I was just letting you know. I know why.
Okay.
That's all I was saying.
It's called great minds think alike. Okay, I know. All right, but nevertheless, I'm pulling for SMU. I wanted them to get in there in the worst way. I really did, and I hope that SMU can go out there at least get one win. Because remember, this is a school that's not collecting any ACC money for 9 years. So any revenue they could get on the field will only add to their athletic department, albeit their boosters are so rich anyways, it doesn't matter. So, a lot of people are figuring Penn State will win. I think they probably will win, but I'm not pulling for them. I'm riding SMU. Is that why I'm wearing this red shirt? No, but then again, it's Christmas. Who cares why I'm wearing it? Go ahead. Why do you think you knew what I was going to say, Ballrick?
Because nobody trusts James Franklin in a big game.
Well, that's
He
true.
has not won a big game in his career.
Yeah.
He has made coaching blunder calls on offense and defense that
Right.
cost them games. I mean, we've seen it. How many times have they lost the chance to go to the college football playoffs because they lost to either Ohio State, Michigan, or Iowa to end the season?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, your point's well taken. James Franklin simply can't win big games.
And we hear how great Drew Allard's supposed to be, but why was he 15th in the Heisman voting? So,
All right,
there's
Well,
all
we'll
of
find
that
out
in
how
there.
good he is now.
If SMU can come out and start running in the cold
Right.
and be good and set up the play action so that they don't have to take deep shots downfield in the cold,
Right.
I think they can manhandle Penn State. But Penn State is not the running team they used to be either. They're more of a passing team with Drew Allard. And I do like the coverage of SMU, but it's playing in the cold. I want to see how they respond in that first half. If they're able to keep it a close game, I expect SMU to win.
Good man. I'm pulling for the ponies too, Jeremy. I really am. I'd like to see
Yeah,
them do
I've
well.
never been a Penn State fan. As I've said before, I had a lot of respect for them when Joe Paterno was the head coach, and then Billy O'Brien took over during the suspension time, and then now James Franklin, he can't win the big game, and then on top of all that, his backup quarterback just transferred out. So if his starter goes down, he's got some kind of third, fourth, or 10th stringer coming into play, and that we don't know, that no one knows anything about, and I don't even know what he can do. So I'm taking SMU in this game as well. I think it's going to be a dogfight, but I think SMU pulls it out at the end by a field goal, maybe.
So you're talking about a battle between two schools that have had major scandals, right? Jerry
Yes.
Sandusky and the death penalty. Go figure. Hollywood couldn't have written that one any better, could they?
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, Army-Navy game last week. Guys, I was very disappointed. Army, I thought they put on a better performance, but Navy came out and played,
Yeah.
131-13. Jeremy, we'll start with you. Army-Navy game last week.
Disappointed in Army, great game by Navy. I mean, there's nothing better to say than that. As an Army vet, it hurt.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I know exactly what you're saying. Okay, here we go. Here, Patty has joined us here today, and I want to thank her for being up. What's up? How are you, Patty? Thank you for being part of the show. And tell your friends, call your cousin, call somebody, get them subscribing to RW Media on the on YouTube. I need 8 more subscribers to make my 200 goal by the end of the
You're
year.
getting closer every week, Ralph.
Every week getting closer, and I want to thank Josh as well for helping out with this thing. And I'm getting a lot of emails. People, they want to see me stay on the air because, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The new year's coming, so see what it brings. That's all I can do. So, but anyway, your thoughts, Scott, Army-Navy game.
Well, my dad was in the Army another lifetime ago. Was pulling for them. Actually, went by his Army base many years ago when I was in Oklahoma. I picked Army to win, so I was wrong. A guy named Bill Crawford, who I met over at the FAU game, the opener, and I built a good friendship. We actually had him on our show inside the pigskin. But let's face the reality: you had a matchup in this situation where you had two competitive teams. Navy, I think, if I understand, went in at 8-3, and then Army had a really good record. So, and not like Army lost to a bad football team. Navy put out a good team. So when you have two teams that are pretty close in competition, stuff like this happens. So, the main thing is when you watch the Army game, people have to understand you're not rooting for one or the other. You're rooting for both because it's military. We all stand together when they play. The football game is an afterthought. It's a big story that goes there, and that is on my bucket list to see one of those Army-Navy games.
All right. Don't forget later on this afternoon, 2 to 3 p.m., 1250 AM, 92.5 The Answer, Sports Corner radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. We have a lot to talk about on this show as well. All right, guys, we're going into our next segment here, and which is brought to you in part by, let me see what we got here. The Steel City Yellow Jackets, our ABA team here in the Pittsburgh area. They play up in Allentown on Climax Street at the Community Center. Championships of the ABA 2 years ago. Took a year off They're back again, and they're doing just as good as they did 2 years ago. Go check out their games. SteelCityYellowJackets.com. Check them out for tickets and information. All right, guys. Michael Vick is now the head coach of Norfolk State. What do you guys think Michael Vick will do as a coach? Will he be respected based on some of his past, things with dogfighting and all that stuff? Scott, we'll start with you.
I'm pulling for him. Tony Dungy mentored him, got
Yeah.
him on track. He was able to clear up a lot of his financial issues. He was humbled by the dogfighting situation, served his time. He deserves another chance. He really does. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think Norfolk State is the right place for him to go because
Right.
after all, it's his hometown in the Hampton Roads area. I've been to that area. It's a beautiful part of the country if you haven't been there. So I'm really, really, really pulling for him. He also played for Pittsburgh as well.
Yes, he did.
So, you always figure that guys like him deserve a second chance. I'm a firm believer that you give people second chances if they're sincere and remorse about it. So why not root for him? Again, he's replacing a guy that was 4-8 the last 3 seasons. So
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, he's only got one way to go, and that's up. As long as the administration believes in him, that's great. But he's going to have to find some good assistant coaches. And that's the biggest thing for him to even have a puncher's chance to succeed there. But he does probably know a lot of good people in the industry, and we'll see where it goes. I just wish him well. I hope he does well.
Jeremy, your thoughts? Michael Vick, new head coach at Norfolk State.
Well, they're giving him every reason to be successful. They gave him a $50 million NIL budget to draw
Right.
people in. So that being said, Michael Vick should be fine as a coach. And the fact he's back in Virginia is going to be a draw for the local better athletes to want to go to that school rather than go to Virginia or West Virginia. I mean, so it's actually going to hurt everybody, but it's going to help Norfolk State in the process because less of those 3- and 4-star recruits from Virginia, because there's rarely a 5. And I'm not trying to be mean or diss them, but you're talking about weaker levels in the high school ranks than other states around them, where you got like a plethora of big cities.
So are you saying, if I heard you correctly, that Norfolk State's giving him $50 million in NIL? I thought it was Sacramento State that was doing it.
I thought it was Norfolk State because he was the one that got hired, and they have
Yeah, but he was also being considered for Sacramento. I'm not sure. I'm just asking you a question. I thought it was Sacramento State that was coveting him. Nevertheless,
it was him.
Well, it's okay. I just wasn't sure. I just want to. Nevertheless, I'm glad we're both rooting for the guy to do well. Sacramento State's going to be a program to watch out for too. I think they're trying to get in the Mountain West or the Pac-12 is what they're trying to do. So, and the Pac-12 could use them so they can be considered a legitimate football conference. So, but an HBCU gets to start there. If he wins there, then obviously in a matter of a few years, we'll see where he goes. But at least this is a good first opportunity for him.
Well, if any town's going to be able to come up with the money, it will be Norfolk, though.
Oh, no question about it.
Because Norfolk, 100% is a tourist town. So the people that live there is either really rich or they're just getting by. There is no in between there because the military people have their stuff there.
Right.
But the actual residents of Norfolk, there is no in between. You're either just getting by or you're living high on the hog.
Right. There's a lot of money in Virginia, and the metropolitan Washington area is a good place to recruit. So he definitely has a lot to work with over there. He really, really does. So let's not shortchange this guy. Michael Vick will be able to go in some of those areas and keep some of them home. I mean, these guys are transferring like a flock of geese anyways. I'm not getting into that tonight. But still, he'll have a good recruiting area. He just needs what he needs right now is a good coaching staff and some experience behind him.
Yeah, he's got to go out and get, some good assistants that can recruit and help him with that. And he's got to get, it looks like Norfolk State's really forking out some dough for the NIL, and that's good for him, and that supports him as well. Sacramento State has hired Brendan Marion, former wide receivers coach and assistant to the offensive coordinator here in Pittsburgh at Pitt. He was supposed to get the offensive coordinator's job, and they gave it to Frank Signetti, so he moved on to UNLV. Now he is going to be the head coach there. He's going to run that go offense like we run here. And so we'll start with you, Jeremy. Your thoughts, Brendan Marion, Sacramento State.
Congratulations. He got a job. Let's
Yes.
see you do something, because he's one of these brand new assistant coordinators that's moved up to a head coaching position. You better get yourself some good coordinators, or you're going to struggle early.
All right. Josh says my bum goes out to the coffee. I'm
That's
about
called
to drink.
TMI.
Yeah.
Period. That's called TMI. Leave it there.
Yeah. So okay. Well.
Yeah, there's a few TMIs that might end up being on there. So just make sure you're able to.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Yes, we did have a nice conversation on the phone yesterday. I also appreciate all the emails of support. From everyone. I appreciate that as well. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also subscribe to Scott's South Florida Tribune Network and Jeremy. Support us all. Go out there, call your friend, call your cousin, call somebody. We put on some good shows all across the board here. We're on the Huddle Sports Network as well as social media platforms. We're on the South Florida Tribune Network and the kneecap biting with the Detroit Lions as well. Scott, your thoughts, Sacramento State, Brendan Marion.
I have no problem with the hire. Remember, the West Coast, as a lot of people are finding out, when USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington, they used to put a lot of points up on the board. But now, obviously, they found out the Big Ten competition's a lot more rigorous than what they're used to. But when I lived on the West Coast, let me tell you, those scores were high, and they were flinging that thing around like you wouldn't believe. So I think it's a good hire. Why not? What do you got to lose? You bring it, like Jeremy said, you're bringing an offensive coordinator. Let him do what he's got to do in the air. You sell some tickets when you play good offensive football anyways. I wish the guy well. I really do.
Yeah, well, college football is going to be interesting this year, come up next year, guys, with some of these new coaches. Dan Mullins down at UNLV,
right?
And I think, and then you got Bill Belichick at North Carolina, Richie Rod back in West Virginia. We talked about that before, and I think college football is going to be very interesting next year with some of these new coaches.
Yeah, but what they've got to do to make it sensible is you got to get rid of that portal business in December. You really do.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
What we've seen here in the last few weeks with Marshall not being able to participate in the bowl because they lost, 25 guys, I believe. And then, of course, now I think the Holiday Bowl's in jeopardy from what I've heard. I don't want to get any more specifics on that. But again, that's the same thing. So they got to get this portal thing cleaned up. It's one thing to transfer, but to do it in massive numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they do. I can tell you guys aren't coffee drinkers, so that's okay. I go with my diet.
Absolutely. They have to do something about that, Scott.
If I have a glass instead of a bottle,
and I got my orange juice here.
I'm drinking coffee.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a big coffee drinker. I never have been. Every once in a while I need it, but I'll stick with the Diet Mountain no matter what it does to me.
I agree with Patty Grimes' comment here. Yes, change the portal to after the playoffs.
Right.
Well, I said that last week. I think that they should change everything until after all the bowls or the bowl game that your team is involved in is satisfied. Then you could do transfer portal. You can recruit. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but forget the bowl stuff. Ralph, did you just listen to what Jeremy said? Forget the bowls, pal. You do it after the playoffs. The playoffs go into Ralph. Wait,
everything's been satisfied.
Wait, you wait till after the end of January, Ralph. You don't do it during this time of the year. It's ridiculous. Seriously, really? You don't wait till after the bowls because they're usually done by the 5th or 6th. You wait till the 3rd week of January, Ralph.
Well, yeah, we can do it until after that. I understand that.
But that's when Jeremy just told you, Ralph, that college football playoffs usually end then. That's all I'm telling you, brother. They usually
that's the last game played. The last game played is the national championship game, which is the end of the playoff.
Exactly. The 20th, I understand it.
So if you change the portal to after the playoffs, that's after every single bowl game is played anyway.
Correct.
Okay, I understand. One set date after everything has been satisfied, which includes the playoffs. Yeah.
I think that what they should do to make it easier on recruiting, they should only do one portal, and it should be 2 weeks after the playoffs.
Right.
That
Yeah, I
way
agree.
teams can recover and be able to recruit more players before signing day, just before the season. Don't allow them to do it after signing day. Don't allow because most of your coach firings come in that first 2 weeks after the national championship.
Right. But you said it right, though, Jeremy. Quit while you're ahead. Okay. What you've got to do is the NCAA has to get involved. Oh, now we have a disaster when our bowl games are affected because teams can't participate. You mean to
Like
tell me
Marshall.
that Marshall wouldn't have been a better opponent for what you had? But then they had to go to a local Louisiana school to salvage that bowl. So the reality is the NCAA sees it. Now we got to address it, and we have to address it quick.
Yeah, they have to fix this. It's really bad. It's out of control, and they have to do something.
And at
All
the
right.
same time, here's another one because that'll stop a lot of this.
Okay.
Stop being able to fire coaches. If it goes to the last week of the season and you go into conference championship, don't fire coaches then.
Right. Right. Yep.
Because
Exactly.
these kids leave with their coach.
Right.
With their
Let
coach,
them
right.
finish their year and then get rid of them.
Yeah, there has to be structure, and there isn't any, and that's where it needs to be.
Well, the problem is the NCAA hasn't had structure for a lot of years, Ralph. Anyway, what
I
makes
know.
you think you're going to get any smarter now than we were dummies for the long time while everything? It wasn't until now we get a 12-team playoff. Oh my goodness, really? And let me tell you, the 12 format is good enough. You don't need to move it to 14. 12's enough. They allow 1 or 2 losses. Now they just have to figure out, well, we better have a better strength of schedule, but that's either here. That's for another day.
All right. Our next segment's brought to you by DJ Fun. Quality DJ work, 15 years experience, parties, special events. Give DJ Fun a call, 412-545-4317, and we'll set you up with something or call RW Media Productions. We'll get DJ Fun out there to you. All right. Also, don't forget about our studio sponsor, Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, 724-2010-500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. And we will be here next week for another edition of the External Bum Show. All our other RW Media shows will not happen, but I am doing my post-game show today right after the Steelers-Ravens game, 30 minutes after the game today. I don't know who my co-host will be. Smoking Jim is busy at the Pittsburgh City League awards banquet, and I want to say congratulations to my good friend Luther Dupree, who's also my co-host, and he also heads up Steel City Sports World. I want to congratulate him. He's getting an award today at the City League, Pittsburgh City League Awards ceremony, hosted by my good friend Smoking Jim Frazier, and also my other co-host Luther Dupree on the Sports Corner radio show. I also want to wish everyone a very happy holiday. Monday, the Way We See It show with me, Ralph Williams, and Bill Cannata will be going on. After that, there will be no more RW Media shows other than this one until January the 6th. We'll be back with The Way We See It, and with myself and Bill Cannata. Bill will be live in St. Augustine, Florida, because he's down there visiting his kids for the holidays. So Bill will join me from there on Monday. All right.
And I'll be turning 62 on the 29th. Figure probably.
Hey, happy birthday, Scott.
I like having my birthdays in the middle of the holidays.
Oh.
So we got an Aussie person on here. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me get the
And he
comments.
says, I live in Melbourne. Can I get DJ Fun out to me? I also need an air conditioner.
There you go. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, you got the Mountain Dew. I remember that one. Bloss22 says, I think I should change it now. Absolutely. Call Mata. You got that. All right, next. Hey, I have in Melbourne. Can I get DJ? No, I'm sorry. But I do appreciate you watching from Melbourne, Australia, though. That I do appreciate. Also, I need an air conditioner. All right. Hey, Ralph, give the other guys a chance to talk. I do. I let them talk.
It's amazing when you get the viewers from the other side of the world commenting, because that's when you're like, hey, I'm worldwide. I'm not just here. It makes you feel like less of just a talking head.
All right. Can I get an air conditioner? Absolutely. Let's see what else we got here. I'm in Melbourne. All right. Well, it's great. Friends from Australia. Happy birthday, Scott.
Thanks, pal.
All right. And Bloss 22 said 45 years in the business.
Yeah, I'll be celebrating that with my birthday because that's actually when I got involved with George Eichhorn, and I worked over as a producer for WXYZ Radio, which is the ABC affiliate in Detroit. And I produced Sports Talk with George, and now George and I are still kicking around doing this stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you're a media icon, Scott. You've been in it 45 years. You put a lot of good work into what you do, and I really appreciate and admire you for that. I want to thank those that have throughout the years, and and I'm happy during the holidays and thankful that I have guys I'm working with like Jeremy here, Scott Morganroth, Leo Haggerty, and several other people that I work with in this business that help keep me going, give me good advice, and help keep me moving. And
I got a book out of it and a lot of memories. Sorry to interrupt you, but just thought I'd throw that in there while I had a minute. Go ahead.
Sure. All right. Somebody made a comment that I don't let you guys talk. I let you guys talk.
I'm not worried about it.
You were just in the middle of your station break. We get it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, let's talk about the NFL. We have some games coming up today. And then we also have some other games coming up throughout. Let's go into, I know the local hasn't happened yet, but the NFL in your area. Scott, let's start with you, Miami, Jacksonville, and then Jeremy, we'll get to you with Detroit. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, Miami has to win it if they have any chance to get in the playoffs. Jacksonville, well, their situation's a bit in limbo. So with the coach, I hope they bring Peterson back. I don't think what happened this year was his fault. I think they need to get rid of the general manager before they get rid of Peterson. But I get the releases. I read everything that's going, but I have a pulse on that area. I really do. I don't think the Jaguars are going to figure it out this year if they stick with Trent Baalke. You're going to sit here and blame Doug Peterson for all these injuries and some of these underperforming contracts that they brought in? Who's the one that brings in the groceries? The coach, all he can do is just coach what you have. Miami's desperate right now. Miami's desperate. They really, really, really are.
All right, we got Josh and the guys. Thank you, Blaz22, also for participating in the chat today. Let's see your lessons from the microphone. Absolutely. All right, and then we've got from Australia. That's okay, Ralph. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Also, I hope you have a great Christmas. In Australia, we call it Xmas instead of Christmas. Can you guess why? No, I do not know.
No, but Xmas is something that's revered by a lot of people. So a lot of us do. Abbreviation.
I'm going to actually address that because if I remember right, Australia used to be a prison colony for Great Britain. And so when Jesus was punished, it was said it was a crux, not a cross in the original transcripts when they found the right thing. So a crux is the X.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Right.
Well, I give you credit for knowing that. I was clueless. I struggle every year to find out when Hanukkah is because it changes every year. I can't say that my birthday is 4 days after Hanukkah because it changes, but Christmas is a steady 4 days after Christmas every year.
That's correct. We use Xmas because of immigrants. The only native people to Australia are Aborigines.
All right, we're going into our next station break here real quick here. Folden Travel Mobility. Right. FoldenTravelMobility.com. Look, if you're handicapped like I am, please don't let your handicap keep you at home because you don't have the right equipment. Call or get a hold of Folden Travel Mobility today, 1-877-GOT-FOLD or FoldenTravelMobility.com. They have folks that will come on the chat, and what they will do is they will chat with you. They have over 20 years of experience to get you into a folding power wheelchair that you can fold up and put in your vehicle. Okay, and get yourself out there doing activities. Don't let anything hold you back. They also have financing available too, so that way you can make some monthly payments if you want to do that. They have sales. They have some great Christmas holiday sales coming up. Check out FoldenTravelMobility.com. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. All right. Now, all right, we're going to get into our NFL games. Good, Jeremy.
I never got to give the Detroit part. because
Oh,
of the
I'm
comment.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry
So
about
the
that.
media kind of overblew that 22 on the IR because it was
Right.
never 22 when they released it. Because when you look at that list, they added David Montgomery, CD3, and Emmanuel Mosley. That's 3 guys that's never been on the IR because CD3 is actually might be able to come back by the playoffs. David Montgomery is doing non-surgical repair on his grade 2 MCL, so he was never added to the IR report. And Emmanuel Mosley was removed from the IR report prior to Thanksgiving. So that takes us down to 20 or 20, right? You take those 3 off?
Yes.
19,
Right.
19, excuse me. Then we activated Ifeatu Melifamu and Jalen Reeves Maben. Now we're down to 17. So
Right.
everybody likes to overblow this 22 number when it doesn't exist in the first place. And I just wanted to clear that up because
Sure.
I've been reading it all week. How are they going to win with 22 people on the IR when it wasn't 22 people to begin with?
Hey, Jeremy, no matter how you slice it, it's one big mash unit anyways. The only thing you don't have is Alan Alda there and Harry Morgan.
But you want to know what? We've been a MASH unit since week 6.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thanks for making my point.
So
17 still a lot of people, but especially when one of them is Hutchinson.
yeah, but we've been winning ever since Hutchinson went
I'm
down.
not
The only game
I'm
we
not
lost.
downplaying the significance of that. That's
Right.
still an awful lot of people that you're out.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is it's not as bad as the media's making it out to be. They're
Well-
overblowing it, trying to say, oh, their Super Bowl window is closed. They should give up.
Well, now
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part I'm with you all the way on that. I realize that things could be a little bit blown out of proportion, but then again, old school media versus new school media, Jeremy. That's why I wrote on this stuff, right? You know,
And what did
get
you say? Do your research. Refute it when you can. And I am.
Well, no, I'm just saying, old school versus new school. Nobody knew about the internet 20 some odd years ago, 25 years ago, until it's become exactly the big gorilla that it's become.
Oh, it's become a big time enterprise. I remember when it first started, I got web TV. That's what I got. I mean, when I started it, with the internet. Jeremy, I have to give credit to Dan Campbell because of the MASH unit that you guys have. In some cases, he's managed to still win games with with the talent that he has. Next man up kind of mentality, like Mike Tomlin does with the Steelers. Next man up. So I have to give credit where it's due there to Dan Campbell for having enough talent to cover despite the fact you have a MASH unit there.
Well, don't lose sight of the fact that Brad Holmes is bringing in these groceries too. So Brad Holmes is what you call Einstein 101 revisited in 2024 with this group of guys that are out.
We got
absolutely.
Einstein and Dr. Frankenstein on the same team. Dan Campbell is Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
He's the one putting all these body parts together and creating a team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, that was good, and you know it, Scott.
Yeah, I'm giving you your moment in glory with it because I'm not going to even dare to come back with it. All I said, I brought up Brad Holmes and you brought up Dan Campbell, and because you're getting smarter and smarter with your writing skills, you're able to create these one-liners. Where you were 2 years ago, well, doesn't matter. It's where you are now that counts.
Thank you.
Hey,
sir.
Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. It's all about what you do today. So there you go. So.
Well,
All
think
right,
about
guys.
it. I did a show on Thursday night called "The Buffalo Bills Are Thriving and the Buffalo Sabres Are Nosediving." So if you want to go out there and talk about a little bit of rhyming creativity, we had a good time doing that show. I mean, thriving and nosediving doesn't take a rhyme individual to figure out that that's exactly what happened.
Well, I will tell you this: Buffalo Bills are for real. I mean, so
I don't think they are. I'm going to say right now, they're just like the Lions. They're beat up on defense. They've given up over 40 plus 2 weeks in a row. If they have one bad offensive outing, they're going to lose.
You're right.
You look at what's going on, and that's not conducive to the playoffs. The Lions give up 40 points in one game, and oh my God, the season's over. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. I'm tired of these chicken little media people.
Yeah, but let me say this, Jeremy. You can't deny the fact that what Dan Campbell did with that onside kick with 12 minutes.
I agree
Hold on,
with it.
let me finish. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Drink. That's a good idea. Okay. Well, let's face it, that isn't a move that 99 out of 100 coaches are going to make. But the fact of the matter is, he was able to do it. He had a 6-year contract when they hired him, and he's got Brad Holmes. When you're a chronic loser, you can get away with moves like that, but you evaluate the entire body of work. He gets away with it more than most. But hey, I give him credit for doing. I think what you have to do with that onside kick rule is get rid of it and go back to what it was and get rid of it. That's a joke. I mean, seriously, there's only so many things you can do to tinker games, whether it's in baseball and football, but they got to get rid of that thing as quickly as you can.
Telling the other team that you're going to do an onside kick. The purpose of the onside kick is to surprise the other team, not to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're exactly right. Because think about this. If you don't tell them, they don't have their hands team out there.
Exactly.
You can line up as a regular kickoff and then audible into it so they can adjust. Because how many teams at the beginning of the fourth quarter are going to take a timeout? There isn't a single one.
And keep in mind that one of the last Super Bowl I attended here in South Florida, you had Indianapolis against New Orleans, and Sean Payton pulled that out of his pocket, and it changed the momentum of the game. So
yeah, Bill Cowher.
Now you don't have it.
In the '95 Super Bowl against Dallas, he pulled out that onside kick. So I mean, and we ended up scoring. So
what about the guy you're bragging up there in Jacksonville that hasn't been good since he won a Super Bowl by using an onside kick to get the advantage versus New England?
Right.
So at 12 minutes, the problem was we were down 3 scores. We just got a touchdown to make it within 2. You had to steal a possession because our defense wasn't stopping anybody. So going for it, I don't have the issue. Telling the other team I'm doing it, that's where I have an issue. I have an issue with the rule. I don't have an issue with the play. Because if you look at the execution of it, there was a guy behind Matt Collins. If that ball was this much higher, he doesn't tip it, and it's Detroit ball.
Yeah, but let's get real, Jeremy. Okay, you know a lot about football. I know you do. But 12 minutes left in the game. Seriously, if you would have gone to 8 minutes, that would have been better than 12. And he admitted that maybe if he had to rethink the whole darn thing, he probably would have done it. But it's not about second guessing him. He took a chance, and as a result, he's got enough latitude with this organization where nobody's going to sweat it. Here's the one way you forget about that onside kick, okay? You beat the daylights out of the Bears and nobody frankly cares, and you maintain your position at the top of the division so you get home field. If it costs you home field advantage in the playoffs, then we have this conversation over in a few weeks. But right now, the Lions only have one thing they need to do. They need to just beat the Bears tomorrow, and that onside kick will probably be a distant memory and may end up in some folly films down the road.
It'll never be because the media won't let it go. The fact that we brought it up today, and it's been a week, I just don't see where he didn't need to be criticized for doing it. The rule needs to be criticized for having to tell the other team you're doing it.
Well, let's face the reality. You and I aren't stupid, okay? We know that the NFL's looked at this, okay? They're going to change it, Jeremy. They will. They see that you tried something.
We've said that about other rules that they've never changed, so I don't know.
Yeah, but this one's going to get changed. This is going to get changed. You know what? You're right. Some haven't been changed, but this one will.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, real quick, guys, before we go into our local segment, we're going to see the debut of Michael Penix. Kirk Cousins has been benched. This was a horrible over-signing of a guy who, has never been to the Super Bowl or whatever. And there was some things that with this. Scott, we'll start with you. Michael Penix gets his first start for Atlanta in a benching of Kirk Cousins.
Give me Kirk Cousins' agent, people. He still gets his client a lot of money. He does way better than Bobby Bonilla, okay?
Yes.
So go out there and give me his agent. You know what? Everybody had this 2-3 year plan with Penix. Give me a break. I don't buy that one bit. You got a young quarterback. You need to find out what he can do. Patrick Mahomes got, 15 games on the pine until they ultimately – I didn't believe that Atlanta had a 3 or 4 year plan anyways. And Kirk Cousins has underperformed, and he's been overpaid. So good luck trying to figure out what they're going to do with that money. I wish Michael Penix well. I really, really do.
So do I.
And we'll
Yeah.
see what he can do. But I think they're making the right call by going out there and putting him in toward the end of the year. What do you got to lose? You get some actual live regular season tape on this guy.
All right, Jeremy.
Well, if Atlanta would have picked who everybody thought they were going to pick, they wouldn't have Michael Penix, and there would have been none of this issue to begin with.
Right.
Now, at the same time, while we're going to say, give me his agent, the agent you should be thanking for Kirk Cousins' quarterback contract is the agent of Daniel Jones. Because as soon as that mid quarterback got
he was
$40
the one
million
that
a year,
started it, Jeremy. He was the one that got that going.
I know, but
yeah.
as soon as he got that $40 million, you knew that there wasn't a single average quarterback in this league that was going to get less than $40 million a year going forward as a veteran. So while everybody's going, oh my God, his agent's great. No, he just went for the median market. What he did was he got him a lot of guaranteed money, which makes Atlanta saddled with Kirk Cousins for another season. He'll be the most expensive Pine Rider if Michael Penix looks good. But we're talking about a rookie that hasn't worked out with the first string offense at all. We're talking about his first game. He may have jitters. We don't know. And we're also talking about a quarterback that has what? An injury list just as long as Tua Tagovailoa's in college. So if you add all that up together, I'm rooting for Michael Penix, but the odds are stacked against him before he ever gets his first start.
Well, let me add to that. I think that Raheem Morris was the wrong hire.
Oh, we all said that when it happened.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that then, but now we're just validating it.
Yeah,
there were better qualified coaching candidates than him. Period. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to not be able to promote our platforms because of Raheem, who shouldn't have been hired in Atlanta. No, thank you, people.
Yeah, just not the right fit, Scott. I agree with you on that, but we're not going to go no further, like you said. All right. We're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-201-0500. We're going into our final segment here, brought to you by Robin Campbell Insurance, 412-366-3399. Farmers and Bristol West. Any insurance needs, call Robin today. Okay, guys, our final segment, local. Let's start with you, Jeremy. Local.
Well, it looks like the only two guys out this week is the one that just got activated into his 21-day activation window of JRM and David Montgomery, which we knew because he's rehabbing a partially torn MCL that does not require surgery. So that's all that's out. There's three guys questionable, one of them being Brian Branch. One of them is if he had a Metafalmu, but he was a full participant all week in practice. I don't think the Lions are as banged up as everybody thinks. I think they beat Chicago 31-13.
All right. Scott, local.
Well, since I'm the only one here in Florida today, hats off to the Florida Gators. They blew out Tulane, I think 30-0.
Yes.
DJ, I saw the Gators play when they lost to Miami 41-17. Watch out for DJ Lagway. This guy's good. I've been saying all along, get off Billy Napier's back already. Seriously? Really? I mean, this guy's a good coach. He didn't forget how to coach because he was in Louisiana. And I'm glad that Scott Strickland, the athletic director up at Florida, showed a vote of confidence. And I'm glad that the Gators finished strong and finished 8-5. But the reality of the situation is this, okay? Tulane, being a group of 5 school, was no match against the Florida Gators, let alone in Tampa, where it's all pro Gator territory anyways. And yet, actually had a Gator home game in Tampa, and I've seen Gator games in Tampa. But Tulane, that's where you talk about the difference in conferences, and an 8-5, and now an 8-5 Gator team blanked Tulane. Period. I mean, they're the Greenway, but boy, they were singing the blues yesterday. And I'm talking about Florida Gators blues, since they actually have a blue and orange jersey.
All right. My local is this. The Steelers play the Ravens today at 4:30. George Pickens will not be playing. Justin Fields is not going to be playing. We have Kyle Allen backing up Russell Wilson. We also have a few other nicks and bang-ups, but they're playing as well. The Penguins have started to win more than they're losing. They were on that roller coaster where they would win 1 game and lose 10. Now they're starting to win 3 games and lose 1. That's better than 1 in 10. So Penguins are starting to come around. Pitt volleyball had a disappointing loss to Louisville in the Final Four. Could have went to the national championship and played Penn State. That would have been very interesting for Western Pennsylvania to have Penn State and Pitt play each other in women's volleyball, but it didn't happen that way. But I still want to give kudos out to the Pitt volleyball team for getting to the Final Four to begin with, and putting the program up there as well. Also, Pitt men's basketball is moving along as well. I think that Jeff Capel has that team. Took him a little while, but he's got them moving, and that's my local. Go ahead, Jeremy.
It says here an hour ago, Falcons just cut Kirk Cousins.
Did they really?
Wow.
I gotta verify it. I'm gonna go to Twitter right now.
Well, I just found out right now, if that's the case, then Omar Khan just signed him for $500,000, and Atlanta's going to pick up the rest of their contract. They'll be backing up Russell Wilson here in Pittsburgh.
Well, we knew he took a fall, but I didn't realize he was taking that fall, not even lasting the season. But Arthur Blank's got enough money, knowing that he owns.
Okay, it's expected to cut. They haven't done it.
Oh, they haven't cut him yet.
Adam Schefter. Divorce from Falcons is expected to be finalized before his $10 million roster bonus due March 17th. Fully expecting Atlanta to release him by then. Cousins in the front office cannot get along, and he does not want to be benched.
Roski Bear, Michael Vick can't read. He's going to be a head coach. Oh boy.
Well, he better learn quick.
Yeah.
I don't know how somebody who graduated from college can't read.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Exactly. All right, guys, we'll get our final wrap up here. Final thoughts, and tell everybody about yourself and how they can get a hold of you. Start with you, Scott.
Well, you mentioned it before. Put the book up on the screen. Good Christmas gift.
Got it.
Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring vision, turning their enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. Got them a little tongue-tied.
Yes, there it is.
It's a great book there for people that don't know anything about the media and that want to learn about it. A great educational tool to get an idea of what's behind all of us. You can get that on Amazon. You can get that on Barnes & Noble and so forth. And we have it online as well, Kindle. As far as our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Candy Ebling does a remarkable job keeping it up to date all the time. Jeremy ought to know, gets his stuff up there, does a heck of a job writing. And our YouTube channel, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. We have a lot of stuff on there. And I'll be working on getting more shows, top-notch shows going into 2025. Taking a break for a couple of weeks so I can recharge and figure out what we're going to put up there. But Ralph is on Fire Up. He does a good job. Jeremy's a co-host of Fire Up as well. So Candy and Jeremy have been able to make a great team. And we recently added Pensman and George Eichhorn to that show. You guys do a good job. I look forward to seeing you guys continue to grow that show as well as everything else we have on. So once again, our Twitter is at Tribune South, www.southfloridatribune.com. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune, and thanks for putting the book up, Ralph. Much appreciated.
You're welcome, Scott. Anytime. Jeremy, your final thoughts and closing, and also tell everybody about yourself or how they can get a hold of you.
Every team in the NFC North hates us because they ain't us. They hate the fact that we're on top of the division still after 15 weeks, going into week 16. Other than that, you can find me on Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, where I go live 5 days a week, noon to 1. Also, 4 times nightly throughout the week at 9 p.m. You can also find me on Scott's channel, the South Florida Tribune, where I'm always on Fire Up, occasionally on Motor City Madmouth. I don't know when that's happening again, but it happened. And then Inside the Pigskin.
We have a lot of things that we're working on. That's why I'm looking forward to the downtime, Jeremy. And also, one thing I should mention, too, is happy retirement to John Keating, who will be retiring at the end of the Detroit Red Wings season. But I actually met him in April when the Marlins were playing the Tigers. What a super nice guy. And, he's in his late 60s. It's time for him to enjoy the fruits of what he's done over the years and relax. I think when you hit the 60 mark, you do more reflecting and you pick and choose your spots, which I'll be doing a lot more as I go into 2025 as well, picking and choosing the events I have as I work towards trying to deal with some major illnesses that I'm confronted with at the moment.
All right. My closing is you can reach me at rwmediaproductions.com. Check out my website. Also, some of my archive shows are on there as well. I have numerous shows. check them out on my YouTube channel, Ralph Williams, RW Media. Please subscribe. Help me get to 200 by the end of the year. And also check out all my shows that are on there as well. There's some great shows, not only just sports, but I have Ralph's Opinion, the way we see it. And I also do Steeler post game. So, and that'll be this afternoon, 30 minutes after the Steeler game. And don't forget this afternoon, 2 to 3 p.m., 12:50 a.m. The Answer, and 92.5 FM. There it is, The Answer. Check it out today, 2 to 3 p.m. The Sports Corner show, radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. Lots to talk about, including we'll be talking about today's game as well this afternoon. So, all right. Also, I can be reached on Facebook, YouTube. I'm on YouTube channel, as I mentioned. Also, Twitter X. So I'll follow you. You follow me, and we'll follow each other. And on Twitter X as well. I'm also on that new Sky Blue, and I'm also on LinkedIn as well, and Tumblr. So check out all my stuff on my social media platforms. I'm also on Instagram as well, and I'm working on getting on TikTok. Not to spread pictures around or anything, but I'm going to be on TikTok somehow. So, all right, folks, thank you very much for tuning in to the External Bum Show. Until next Saturday, everybody have a safe and Merry Christmas. And if I don't talk to you next Saturday, have yourself a Happy New Year. And don't forget, January 5th, right after the Steeler game, we will have our post-game show after the Cincinnati game on January 5th. I have to get the time, and I heard it's going to be either 1 o'clock or 4:30 or 4:25 or whatever it is. And then we come back January the 6th for the RW Media Production shows. All shows will be back starting January 6th as well. But we'll be here next week for the External Bum Show with myself, Jeremy Ballrick, Leo Haggerty, Scott. Enjoy the rest of your time off. You and Candy, enjoy yourselves. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you next year.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Enjoy it. We'll look forward to some great stuff.
All right. Thank you very much. And we'll get the one last comment before we hit the road. You ought to call Mata. Absolutely, Josh. Thank you. All right. And thank you, Brent and Patty, and everyone who participated in the comment section today. Until next week, have a good one. Be safe, Jeremy. Tell everybody what you normally do. Go.
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. Starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. Have a safe and very Merry Christmas, as we won't see you till after it on this show.
All right. Have a great one. Thank you.